All right, Photo 330. I made this little video to help you sort of understand the workflow that we're using for this demo today for kind of basic motion graphics, and we're going to create them in Premiere. So what I have is a video that I've made, so sort of a fictitious production company, and I figured with election season on us and no one being happy probably at the end of it, I'd make one themed around that. So here's my fictitious production company. Kind of a downer, I know, but that said, fun vehicle for some motion graphics. So what we're going to do is take a look at how that was made. So step one, I'm not going to go through every step of this, but what I did was I created an audio project. Now I did this in Adobe Audition because I like the way the multi-track works in it. So basically I went and found a free version of Stars and Stripes Forever, Creative Commons. What I did is, I'll give you the clue, I played with some pitch shifting effects from the effects menu up here to create that effect on that track. I then blended it in with a few other elements. So we had an explosion. We had some fire crackling sounds. We also had a gunfire, why not? Probably could imply a little anarchy. And of course the combination of screams. When all composited together, we had about this 10-second range track. All right, making an audio scratch track is half the fun. And that's what I would suggest you do, is make an audio scratch track to start so you have something to time and back your graphics with and the way they move. So from there, I'll kind of go to what I did with the graphics. So for this one, I'm going to suggest that you utilize Photoshop for that. So I've given a composite PSD that I'll open up here, and I'll walk through kind of how I made that. So what I did first was I created a new document, and I went in and worked with the video presets. If you go into Photoshop and you choose film and video from the preset, you can choose exactly what you need for your footage type. So most of us are going to be working in HD. So I chose the HD TV 1080p preset. There are some other flavors in there for different HD types, but I would recommend for doing graphics work, choose HD TV 1080p. What most of you are shooting on is going to be a square pixel format. If we go to DVC Pro or some others, we may run into some potential issues. So let's choose HD TV 1080p. Say OK. Basically, that gives you a starting template, and it gives you some title safe guides. Maybe talk about that briefly in class, but generally the inner guide on this represents what's considered title safe, and the outside represents image safe for different HD TV types. If you're publishing online, maybe less of an issue, but they're nice to have as guides. So those are in place. What I did after that, let me pull out my layers just so you can see in more detail, is I went in and I layered this out with first kind of a background stock image. I set a black layer just so I could have black to represent black. I then took an image of a flag, and I tried to find sort of an oversized image that I could scale and work with a little bit so that I wouldn't lose quality. So something bigger than 1920 by 1080. I then built each text layer separate with the intent of what I was going to animate. This is kind of important because the next process in Premiere is we actually import and set all this up as separate layers so we can move them all at once. So I went and built all of these as separate layers so I could animate this text. All right, so basically after the Photoshop file is ready, multi-layered, you can save it, which I have done. And after that point, it's basically importing and animating inside of Adobe Premiere. So that's sort of the rough setup of what I did. The next video I'll use will kind of go through the steps of what I worked for animating.